Today is episode 10, the 10th lightsaber unboxing and review that I've done. So let's mark the occasion by looking at a nice lightsaber, because believe me, I have other stuff coming which is just So this lightsaber is the Ghost Saber. It's beautiful. I got the pixel version. I can't wait to show you. Let's go. Welcome back to everyone, all the Jedi and all the Sith. I'm your host, the Frugal Jedi, and today on episode 10, I'll be unboxing and reviewing the Ghost Lightsaber. This particular model isn't made by one company. You'll find it all over the place on AliExpress, and I've also seen it being sold by another seller. I'm not going to mention their name, but they were asking a ridiculous amount of money for this model, the exact same thing. So I found the best price, and that price is from TXQSABER. I'll put a link to their store in the description, and I'll put a link to the product page so you can check it out. You can get this in two different versions. You can either get it RGB baselit, which means the light is built into the base and the blade is hollow, or you can get it in the pixel version, which is the lights are built into the blade. It has more effects. It's really cool. So I chose the pixel version because I've never reviewed a SN pixel soundboard before. So this is a different soundboard than the Xenopixel or T-Pixel or Golden Harvest, Profi. There's a ton of different pixel lightsabers out there. The price for the RGB version is $110.40 US with free shipping. The SN Pixel version is $166 US and 80 cents with free shipping. The product page will say that they ship using DHL, but they don't. They ship using UBI. I prefer it because UBI doesn't charge those customs brokerage fees that DHL charges. It does take a little longer. It took around 2 weeks for it to get here, but I didn't have to pay that extra $20, $30 brokerage fee that DHL charges, so I'd rather save money. The RGB version soundboard will have the same features as a SAB Neo or those other lightsabers that I've reviewed where it's 12 color, 10 sound font. They all have the same features. Whether you choose the RGB or the SN Pixel model, they both ship with an 82 centimeter long blade. I asked the company if they could ship me a 96 centimeter blade or the 36-inch blade, and they said sure. I prefer the longer blade, especially with Pixel, just because more lights, it looks prettier, it's cooler. So mine is the 36-inch blade. If you do order one, you just have to send a message to them asking for the longer blade, and they should do it because they did it for me without any problems. The SN Pixel soundboard has 18 different sound fonts built in, a whole bunch of different preons, so different ignition styles, and it has a bunch of different blade effects, like your standard, pulse, unstable, fire blade, rainbow blade. I'm going to go through all those afterwards because they didn't list them in the description and I just can't remember them all off by the top of my head. It also has some background music built in as well. And I'll show you all that in the unboxing and review. So let's point the camera down and unbox it. It came shipped in this box, really well packaged. And really tight. And there it is. This is by far one of the nicest packagings I've ever seen for a saber. Let's open it up. So of course they include the product manual, and this goes through all the different features and functions, how to use the Pixel version, as well as how to use the RGB version, even though they titled it wrong on the top, but whatever, you'd figure that out. And it shows you how to attach the blade and how to charge it. They include USB-C charging cable, the Allen key, and the retention screws for the blade. And I know I'll sound like a broken record, but you always make sure to use a 5 volt, 1 amp USB wall charger. Nothing more powerful than that. They included a blade plug. So the blade plug, if you don't want to have the blade installed and you just want to have this on display, you can put this in place of the blade and it just makes it look really cool. So, as I said earlier, I asked for the longer blade. And there it is. And it has the clear protective film, which we can remove. Make sure I get it all off. And they have the cap on the end. Pop it off. And it has the pixel connections there. Not sure if you can see that from this angle. Let me show you the hilt, which is bubble wrapped. And there it is. It's massive. It is such a beautiful looking hilt. It fits perfectly in 2 hands. I love all this engraving details that they did on it, and the gold accents and the shape of the emitter. It's beautiful. Let me put this on the display and let you have a look at it 360 degrees. I'm going to show you how to charge the saber. It's a little different because there's no charging port on the outside. So to charge it, you unscrew the grip. And you'll see the USB-C charging port. And when you plug it in, charging. It says charging. And there's a blue light. Hopefully you can see that little light right in there. And when it's done charging, that blue light will turn off. Okay, I'm going to clear the table and we'll attach the blade to the hilt. There are 3 holes for the screws. One here, and one here. I've already started by putting the screws in place just to speed things up. So you want to take your blade, slide it in. Make sure that you don't have your screws pushed in too far, or else it'll be really difficult. Okay. With Pixel, it's spring-loaded pins down here, so you have to kind of push it and hold it, and then tighten your screws. And I'm not going to go super tight because I'm not going to be dueling with this. I've said it before, you shouldn't really duel with a Pixel blade because you could damage the LED strips and it would cost a lot of money to replace the blade. Let me go over the features of the saber. To adjust the volume, you click both buttons together and you'll hear a beep. Clicking the top button increases it, while clicking the bottom decreases it until it's muted. So when you find the volume you like, to exit volume adjustment, you click both buttons again. Okay, so now while we're in standby mode, clicking the bottom button and releasing.
Rey Skywalker.
Angelic plasma.
we'll cycle through the 18 different sound fonts. You can also cycle through sound fonts by holding the button down with the blade tilted upward and flicking your wrist. I'm not going to do that just because it's a little awkward on the table. Holding the button down for 1 second and releasing.
Unstable. Pulse. Goes. Cross. Infinity.
We'll cycle through the different blade types. So you have your standard, pulse, unstable, fire blade, rainbow, a whole bunch of different ones. I'm going to demonstrate them all afterwards. Holding the top button down for 1 second and releasing makes that sound effect. Now what it's doing is it's choosing, or it's going through a list of different ignition styles. You have your stacked ignition, standard ignition, a whole bunch of different ones, and again I'll show you them afterwards. What they should have done instead of that sound effect is given a description of what that ignition type is, because you don't know. And the only way to know is to go to it, turn the saber on. Let's just see. Now if I were to switch it, that was like a standard one. And there's stacked ignition. So yeah, you have no way of knowing what they are until you select them and go through each one. The other thing that the SN Pixel can't do is it can't remember each blade type and ignition type for each profile, meaning that if I have it set to unstable with a stacked ignition, it doesn't matter which profile I choose, it'll always do unstable stacked ignition. What it does remember though is it does remember the color of the blade for each profile, so you can set, you know, Darth Maul to red and Anakin to blue. But in terms of the effects, it won't remember them. Not a huge deal. Remember that this is like a budget Pixel soundboard, not nearly as fancy as Xenopixel or the other Pixel sabers out there. Okay, one last thing to show you while in standby. With the blade tilted downward, holding the button and flicking, and again, it's going to be difficult because of the table, but I'll try again. There we go. It's going to start playing music. And you have 3 different music files built in, and that's all. So there's that music file. And to switch it, now what the heck were they thinking by putting the Jurassic Park theme on a lightsaber? I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love Jurassic Park and it's a beautiful theme song, but really? They couldn't have thought of something better? But it is what it is. And the last one, which is pretty cool, very menacing sounding. Definitely something, there we go, that sounds more familiar. And to shut off the music, just twist again. Okay, now let me show you the features of the saber when it's turned on. So turn on, click the top button, or I can flick. So remember, I have stacked ignition turned on, which is fine. And it has sensitive smooth swing, very responsive. Flash on clash. Hard to do because I'm sitting down, but it does do it. Clicking the button will do the blaster effect. And it lights up on different parts of the blade, which looks nice. Clicking the button, the bottom button, for 1 second and releasing does lock up. Holding the top button and tapping the blade will do the tip drag like that, and then to stop it, let go of that top button. Holding the bottom button down and thrusting will do the melt function, where the blade's going to light up white in the middle. I'll try to do it sitting down. There we go. So there it is. And to stop it, just release the bottom button. But if I hold it up,
The Force, guide your weapon. Good. I'm trying, Master Yoda.
that'll do force effects, where it'll play a sound effect, or it'll play a quote from the movie.
The Force, got it.
Okay. Having it pointed downward and holding the bottom button will cycle through the colors. To turn flash on or off, while the saber is ignited, if I click both buttons together.
Lights on.
So now it's off. So when I tap it, nothing happens.
Lights on.
And clash on. And it turns it back on. To turn the saber off, either click and let go of the top one, or twist your wrist. Just like that. All right, I think that is it for features. So let me move on and give you that close-up demonstration of all the different blade types and ignition types.
Stable. Unstable. Pulse. Goose. Cross. Infinity. Wave. Rainbow. Fire.
I'm going to demonstrate the saber a little bit. My arm isn't doing too well, so I won't be able to swing it around as much as I normally do, but you'll be able to hear the sensitive, smooth swing. We're nearing the end of the video, which means it's time for my final thoughts. What kind of score am I going to give the Ghost Saber by TXQSABER? If you're buying this saber from TXQSABER, I think it's a great deal. The price is right, because you are getting a gorgeous lightsaber for a very reasonable price. If you buy it from other sellers that are charging, over twice as much, then no. So value for money from TXQSABER is amazing, and I'm giving it 5 stars. Next, we move on to design. Do I really have to tell you this thing looks amazing? I mean, you could see it for yourself, and you saw it for yourself. It's beautiful. The only thing with design that some people might not like is the fact that you have to unscrew the grip to charge it. To me, that's not a big deal, because the USB port would detract from it a little bit. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. I love the fact that there's 2 buttons on there. It just gives you a little more options and a little quicker to do things rather than having to do everything with 1 button. I like the fact that they give you a blade plug for free. And yeah, design, it's perfect. Gets 5. Next up, we move to features. It has a lot of blade effects, a lot of ignition effects. My one complaint is the ignition effects only uses that one sound effect, which I'm going to do one more time here. That one sound effect as it cycles through the different ignition types. So you have to look at each one to decide which one you want. It should have been where you press the button and instead of just making that sound effect, it would say stacked ignition or standard ignition. You get the idea. Aside from that, though, has lots of features for a budget pixel. So features, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Quality. For quality, it was packaged perfectly. It had the nicest box I've ever seen with all that foam padding, the bubble-wrapped hilt, protective film on the blade, everything in baggies. Packaging is perfect. The quality of the saber itself, again, perfect. This is heavy. This metal is so well made. It doesn't feel like it would ever break. Same with the blade. Really nicely done. Quality, it gets 5 stars. So let's take the 4 scores, add them up, divide by 4. It gives us 4.75 out of 5, which I'm going to raise up to 4.8. So the Ghost Saber by TXQSABER gets 4.8 out of 5. Great saber. This one is staying in my collection along with my Luke Skywalker Episode 6 one. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please, as always, don't forget to click that like, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and you'll stay up to date whenever I release new content. And I do have more reviews coming. Some lightsabers, some other things, which I don't want to give away too much. So yeah, stay tuned. Until next time, this has been your host, The Frugal Jedi. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.